What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Coach Steve Show podcast, where we discuss everything in college football, NFL, Chicago Bears, Illini sports, maybe a little bit of NBA, college basketball, all that good stuff, different hot topics around sports. We talked to football coaches all over the country. Go check all of them out. If any of that interests you, please hit the like button, subscribe button on the Coach Steve Show YouTube channel. The podcast is also brought to you by the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. If you go to bellyupsports.com, check out all the podcasts and blogs there. Great content out there for everybody. Betting season is in full swing. If you head over to mybookie.ag to make sure you make your same game parlays, in-game bets, money lines, if that's where you go, well, that's where you need to go. If you go to mybookie.ag and use the code BELLYUPFANTASY, all one word, it's going to double your very first deposit. That is free money, and we all love free money. For you football coaches out there and your linemen, are their helmets getting scuffed up during inside run period? If so, there's a way to protect those shells and reduce the repetitive blows your guys are taking each and every week. It's Guardian Caps. Guardian Caps will reduce 20 to 33% of the impact, really focusing on the big guys in the trenches, and you cannot win without those big guys in the trenches. It's worn by 5 NFL teams and 200 plus colleges like Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Washington, and Penn State. Check them out at guardiansports.com/guardiancaps. If you go to that website and use the code 15OFF, you will get 15% off your order on Guardian Caps. So football coaches, go get them. Go protect your big guys. Protect the helmets, protect the blows they're taking. You can buy 1, 2, 3, 4, or some type of bulk item. Use the code 15OFF at guardiansports.com/guardiancaps. It's going to save you 15% off your order. If you're a coach out there and you got a young kicker or a developing kicker who's not reaching the end zone every single time, it's probably the kickoff tee, believe it or not. And I've got the perfect kickoff tee for you. That is Launchpad Kickoff Tee. Is that it gives a coach a strategic option on squib kicks and onside kicks that were never available before. It's legal for NCAA and for NFHS high school use. The Launchpad Kickoff Tee is a game changer. To use our discount link to save 10%, if you go to launchpadkickoff.com/CSS and use the code CSS, you will save 10% off buying one tee. If you buy the 2-packs, it's going to save you 20%. If you buy the 4-pack, you're only going to have to pay for the 3, and they'll give you the 4th one free. So go to launchpadkickoff.com/CSS and use the code CSS to get yours today. All right, again, thank you all for listening. And also check out the podcast on Colorcast, live commentary, where we go live podcasts. Today, we are going to talk about the college football playoff, the Final Four. We've made it to the Final Four. Number 1, Alabama Crimson Tide. Number 2, the Michigan Wolverines. Number 3, the Georgia Bulldogs. And at number 4, everybody's favorite, this is America's team. Drum roll. This is for America's team that everybody's rooting for because they're a non-Power 5. The Cincinnati Bearcats, who end the season at 13-0 after beating Houston 35-20 in their conference championship game, ended up going undefeated. Luke Fickell was a hot name in college football carousel. The Cincinnati Bearcats will be moving on to the Big 12 next year to help fill the roles of, I don't know if it's next year. I don't know. I might lie to you. That's where they're headed. They're headed off to the Big 12. So Luke Fickell's been a hot name. They ended up going 13-0. And I said way back when, I don't think they deserve to be in the top 4. I think there's better teams out there than Cincinnati when you look at their schedule and who they play. But what they have going for them is how well they did last year. They didn't lose till they played Georgia. And people claim that they should have beat Georgia. But Georgia had about 6 to 10 starter/NFL players sitting out, and you still couldn't beat them. So if and nuts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. So this, they should have beat them crap needs to go away. So for years, kids, sit down for this. Sit down. Way back in the olden days when we were all growing up, there was a team called the Boise State Broncos in Idaho with the blue turf, where the ducks and geese fly into it from time to time, thinking that it's water. Yes, go Google it. It's blue. Way back in those days, Boise State would go undefeated from time to time. They one time beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl, running the famous Statue of Liberty play to beat them, where you have a player propose to his girlfriend after beating in the Fiesta Bowl. Then from time to time, they lose a game. They might go 11-1, go undefeated. Then as we go on, this used to be computerized, where the top two make the national championship. Then from time to time, you have a non-power five do well during the season, talks about how they could be number 2 or number 1 in the nation, and then they lose to an FCS team or some Division 1 that nobody's heard of. Then we get to UCF years ago, who goes undefeated one year and goes undefeated the next year. Does not make the college football playoff. It was a disappointment to all. Everybody that was a fan of college football. Why is UCF not in the college football playoff, they said. They're undefeated for 2 years. How is Alabama, who loses a game and not win the SEC, make the college football playoff? It doesn't make sense, they said. Oh, it hurts their feelings, they said. It doesn't make sense. We need to expand the college football playoff, they said, which is true. They said all of this. They even gave them the self-proclaimed national championship banner. It was so ridiculous. All of us true fans that understand how it worked just laughed. So it's been a dream for most college football fans and non-power fives to get into the college football playoff. They thought Cincinnati could be the one last year. But their schedule, they said, man, is this schedule on a Charmin commercial? Because there's nobody on here. It's softer. Is this supposed to be in the Charmin commercial? They said. Fast forward to this year. Cincinnati starts off hot, dominating Miami of Ohio and Murray State. And then beats Indiana, their big Power 5 win of the year at the beginning. Then the big matchup against number 9 Notre Dame Irish. If they can get past them, they said, they will make the college football playoff. Ball is snapped on that very fateful night. They battle Notre Dame left and right, punch after blow after blow, pass after pass, conversion after conversion. Notre Dame making mistakes, Cincinnati taking over, and Luke Fickell said, we are not losing this game. We will make the playoffs. And they come out with a big win, 24-13, and the rest, as they say, is history. Dominoes began to fall. Teams losing left, right. Michigan State losing. Iowa falling down. And they find their way into the top 4 of the college football playoff. Their conference championship, where Houston, who can score a lot of points, was trying to ruin their way. Cincinnati said, no, not tonight, and ends up winning 35-20 to make it to number 4. Their dreams have come true. Everybody in America is jumping for glee. But when they hear this noise, they put their hands to the ear, and the sound coming over the horizon was the tide of Alabama, the Crimson Tide coming over the horizon. Is that the college football playoff? They said, yes, it is. This is the way. To be continued. So the title of this is Be Careful What You Wish For, Cincinnati. Be careful what you wish for. Everybody talks about how Cincinnati should have made the playoff. Their only win that you can give them any sort of credit for is Notre Dame. You look at their schedule. Miami of Ohio, Murray State, Indiana. Now, Indiana, Big Ten team, But what did they do this year? Not much. At the time, it looked like a big win because it's a Big Ten team. Look at what Indiana did last year. Then the Notre Dame. Now, I said the reason why Cincinnati made the football playoff to begin with is because of how they played last year, and they're undefeated. But that Notre Dame kept winning. If Notre Dame lost another game or two, that was not going to help their cause. I mean, Notre Dame was talked about making the college football playoff, so that really helped them. Then you play Temple, dominate them. UCF, beat them pretty good. Then Navy, you only beat them by 7. And Navy was not very good this year. But the combat to that is, oh, well, look at what Navy's offense does. People have a hard time with them. Yeah. Well, then Tulane, you beat them 31-12, but that was closer. Anybody that watched that game saw how hard Tulane played against them. Then the debacle of Tulsa, which I've talked about before. That was such a close game. That should never have been that close. Then you get the ball in your own 2. All you got to do is run out the clock. Literally, it's like less than a minute. It was like a minute. But you're on the 1 or 2. You're afraid to take a knee. You do a quarterback sneak and he fumbles it. Then it was bad play calling by Tulsa that lost in that game. Then UCF, 45-28. It was a close game. Then the big one was SMU. People thought SMU, and I give them credit for Cincinnati. They come out to play SMU, and they win 48-14. Great. ECU, you should have dominated, but you only won 35-13. Then you beat Houston. That can score some points, 35-20. You win your conference. You go undefeated. You were already in the playoff. Great. You make it. But now you got to be careful what you wish for. I was the guy way back with UCF. Way back when they should have made the playoff, people say. And they gave them the proclaimed national championship, which I find incredibly, what's the word I'm looking for? Stupid. You can't just give yourself the national championship. We talk about, everybody gets a trophy. We talk about this participation. You didn't participate in the national championship. Yeah, I know, no fault of your own. And I'm not saying this is perfect. I think the playoff should be extended. I'm not saying any of that. It should be expanded. Not saying that. We're all on the same page. You look at me. We're all on the same page. It's all good. It's all good in the hood. But I said way back when, look at who they play. Now people say when you go undefeated 2 years in a row, that's hard to do no matter who you are. They beat Auburn, I believe, in a bowl game. Yeah, great. But you know what? They didn't make it. And here, I'll get to this in a second. So you looked at their schedule, who they played, who they beat. I didn't think they should make the playoff. Now, after discussions with some coaches at my job today, it really sucks that a lot of these games get scheduled 3, 4, 5 years, if not more, ahead of time. So you don't know who's going to be good at that time. Like right now, you could schedule Cincinnati for 4 years from now, and right now they're number 4 in the nation, whatever. But here in 4 years, they may not be that good. So here in 4 years, like, what does that really do for us? You know what I mean? It really sucks. I wish it was like a year or 2 ahead of time, but they got to do it 4, 5, 6, 7 years ahead of time, which I don't like either. So people say, well, look at their schedule. They didn't know. Well, again, that does make sense. But if you look at Cincinnati's schedule, you can't tell me they scheduled Miami of Ohio 4 or 5 years ago thinking Miami of Ohio, no offense, was going to be top 10 in the nation. They didn't think they were going to schedule Murray State and do that. They didn't think they were going to schedule Temple and do that. They didn't think they were going to schedule Tulane and do that, or Tulsa. That's where that excuse does not fly. So right now, Cincinnati, you got to be careful what you wish for. These fans, you got to be careful what you wish for, because now you've got to play Nick Saban and Alabama, who just came off a huge win versus a team that everybody thought was going to dominate Alabama on the defensive side of the ball because of how well their defense played, in Georgia, who only gave up, I believe, 6.8 points a game and have just dominated teams. No close game. And Alabama's offense came and played. And then, regardless if it's true or not, a post from somebody at 24/7 Sports, which I like. There's great podcasts there. Someone posted or reported, I don't know how true it is, saying that when they look at Alabama and Cincinnati, they're pretty even. It's like watching the same team. What the hell are you watching? What the hell is wrong with you? Bryce Young that offense is way better. Way better. Now, but Steve, look at the numbers. The numbers tell the story. So let's just try to find the numbers here for this pregame here. Okay. Cincinnati, we'll just go through Cincinnati. They average 39 points a game. They give up 16. They get 428 yards, 248 through the air, 179 on the ground. They give up 305, 168 through the air, and 137 on the ground. Their last 5, they won. Whatever. Alabama scores 42 a game. They give up 20 a game. They get 495 yards a game. They give up, or they get 347 through the air and 147 on the ground. They give up 306 yards. They allow 223 through the air, but they only give up 82 yards on the ground. So there it is. Alabama opens up, I believe, at minus 13.5. Now, Nick Saban does exactly what Nick Saban's going to do. He's not going to let rat poison come in. He allows certain rat poisons, but not all of them, and says Cincinnati's a good team. He respects them. They are going to have an uphill battle. And I agree. Now, I call this be careful what you wish for. Cincinnati is not a bad team. It's probably one, if not the best non-Power 5 team we've seen ever, if not for quite a while. How fast they are on offense, how explosive they can be, how fast their defense is, how hard they tackle, all that stuff. So I'm not saying they're not a good team. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying they're a bad team. I know that's what people are going to say. But here's the deal. You got to be careful what you wish for. They're there. They want to compete, but be careful what you wish for, because here it comes. The train of Nick Saban, they probably hoped that Michigan was going to get the number 1 seed, or that Cincinnati was going to bump to the 3 seed because they have Georgia. I'm sorry, Georgia is way better than Cincinnati. I feel like Alabama's going to come in, and it's going to be like that bully asking for your lunch money. If you don't, they're just going to tie the underwear to the flagpole and put it up halfway. I feel like that's what's about to happen, because I don't see them stopping Georgia's offense. I see them moving the ball a little bit because Alabama does give up some yards, but Cincinnati's going to have to do it through the air. Not going to run the ball. Alabama's giving up 82 rush yards. They didn't give up that many rush yards versus Georgia. So be careful what you wish for, Cincinnati. That's what this comes down to. Now you've got probably the Heisman Trophy winner, if not the finalist, and Bryce Young coming in with Nick Saban, who we all know when you give him time to dissect you, okay? And they probably, knowing Nick Saban, they probably already did. They probably already prepared, saying if we win this SEC championship game, there's a possibility we got to play Cincinnati. So I'm sure people had already looked at them. I'm sure. So be careful what you wish for, because now you got Nick Saban with about 2 weeks, week and a half, just to really look at what you do. Now you're giving Cincinnati time, but nobody's really, besides Texas A&M didn't even. They scored 38 points, and Bryce Young did his thing. They were just inconsistent. But be careful what you wish for, because now you got Alabama and all that. Like, here it comes. So all you fans, and now some fans, like, we just want to give them a shot. If they get beat, then fine. Then we get it. And the playoff has to expand to 12. 8 to 12 or 16. It's got to. So that way these guys have a fair shot. Don't just put them into the dogs, because right now Cincinnati would not, if you expanded it to 8, 12, or 16, Cincinnati would not be playing Alabama. They'd be playing somebody else. So it'd be way more fair. But right now you've got a buzzsaw of Alabama coming in. So Cincinnati, be careful what you wish for. Alabama by 13.5 sounds pretty good to me. Probably right on the money. Cincinnati, you are a good football team. I'm not taking anything away from you. And guess what? If you upset Alabama, I will come right back on here and I will take it in the mouth. I will take the punch to the teeth and congratulate you. Talk about how Alabama didn't get it done. But I just don't see that happening. And I'm sorry, because the transfer portal probably helped Cincinnati a lot. I have no proof of that, but it probably helped them tremendously. But eventually Alabama's size and speed will probably take over. And when you compare schedules of who they played, Alabama's got the better schedule. When you look at Cincinnati versus that, which one's preparing you more? Now, the flip side, People have already said that is Cincinnati more fresh than Alabama? It's quite possible they are because Alabama has played the SEC and taken a beating week in and week out. And Cincinnati, some teams they could just roll in and beat and be more athletic. Alabama's had to fight for their wins. So it's going to be one of two things. Is Alabama that beat up? Or is Alabama going to be like, man, we've already played tough teams. We played these huge linemen. We've played these big linebackers. We've gone against these hard-running running backs and fast quarterbacks. Is that what's going to happen? Like, could that be the what's going to happen? I think so. So some of you Power 5, non-Power 5 fans and everything else, be careful what you wish for because here they come. Here comes the buzzsaw. It's ready. You wanted the playoffs. You wanted to play with the big boys. So here it comes. It's coming for you. You better be ready. You better put your big boy pants on because they're coming to play and come after you. That's it. It's another episode of the Coach Steve Show podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Again, like and subscribe, share out, follow it, rate it, all that good stuff. Be a friend, tell a friend. Check everything out on Colorcast too. It's Commentary Sports. It's only for Apple though. So if you got Samsung, you're not going to be able to do it. I apologize. They're trying to get it done. And until next time, this has been another episode of the Coach Steve Show podcast, and we are gone.